plan to replace President Joe Biden, it's finally been leaked. In fact, the debate performance of President Biden versus Donald Trump has now prompted the Democratic Party to press the panic button. That's right, guys. So Nancy Pelosi gives a very ominous answer on replacing President Joe Biden. Former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi was asked on Friday morning about her reaction to numerous calls from worried Democrats for President Joe Biden to be replaced on the Democratic ticket following his just abysmal performance on Thursday night during the debate against former President Donald Trump. Nancy Pelosi, I don't know. I don't know why. I think you guys probably know why, but she refused to answer the question. Just take a wild guess why she didn't answer that question. So Nancy Pelosi, she was asked, what do you say to Democrats who feel that there should be another nominee after the president's debate performance last night against Donald Trump? Nancy Pelosi avoided the question completely, ultimately responding very politically saying, I'll make a statement about this, but not right now. Now's not a good time. So you guys make the most of that. You guys tell me what you think about that. But the clear lack of response from Nancy Pelosi really shows a very similar approach from yet another influential Democrat by the name of Hakeem Jeffries. So Hakeem Jeffries also avoided giving a very straightforward answer about whether he thinks President Joe Biden would be replaced as the Democratic nominee. Instead, Hakeem Jeffries stated that he plans to stand behind the ticket, whatever that means. By the way, guys, if you haven't already, do your boy a favor, hit the like button for the video, share this video, subscribe to the channel. Thank you, all of you guys, for showing so much love to the channel for the content. All of you guys hitting the join button. You guys are amazing. Happy Sunday, y'all. Guadalupe Rubino in the house. I see you. What's going on? Hey, Dot. I'm lurking. Judith Tucker, Melanie Van B, Jacob Barlett. What's good? What's good, everyone? All right, let's get back to it. Hakeem Jeffries, though. He told Farnoosh Amiri from the Associated Press on Friday morning, he said, quote, I'm looking forward to hearing from President Biden. And until he articulates a way forward in terms of his vision for America at this moment, I'm going to reserve comment about anything relative to where we are at this moment, other than to say I stand behind the ticket. I stand behind the Senate Democratic majority. And of course, we're doing everything that we need to do as House Democrats to win. Does that include cheating or voter fraud? I don't know what House Democrats plan on doing to win. Your guess is as good as mine. But anyway, both Nancy Pelosi and Hakeem Jeffries avoided directly addressing whether President Joe Biden should be replaced as the Democratic nominee, instead choosing to focus on supporting the current Democratic ticket and the party's efforts moving forward. Not only did he look meek and crouched over and lost, Joe Biden looked lost. I don't even know if he realized where he was at first. It's like he spawned in a video game. He was like, there you are, Trump. The guy was just wandering, and there were things like he'd start off a sentence and like toward the end of the sentence, it's like, what did he just say? There was a point at which Donald Trump was like, I don't know what he just said, and I don't even think he knows what he just said. It was hilarious. It was hilarious. Then they start like arguing about who has the best golf swing. Things got they went a little left, to say the least. Anyway, but not only did he look meek and confused, but he just couldn't even get down 3 steps to leave the stage. Not very becoming of the most powerful nation in the world, right? And, it was also such an awful performance that even former President Barack Obama had to go on Twitter to explain what happened. You see, what had happened was in this debate, no, I'm just kidding. But in his post, he said that the bad debates, they happen all the time. But he says that this election is about, just 2 very different people. It's kind of like Barack said a lot without saying anything. Anyway, Barack Obama, he went ahead and blasted Donald Trump and said that he only cares about himself. I wish I could do a really good Biden Barack Obama impersonation, but I just can't. But it'd be great if I could say it in his words. Anyway, but while he praised Biden and and basically said that, he's worked his entire life to fight for ordinary folks like us. He also argued that only one of the two candidates is truthful. Meanwhile, the other one lies through his teeth. Now, I'm not really sure which candidate he's actually talking about, but, it's just kind of problematic as to, when we think about the fact that President Joe Biden has essentially been lying to us since he got in office, since the start of his term. Matter of fact, even before he started his term, y'all remember this, right? The promise of providing $2,400 to Social Security beneficiaries. Whatever happened to that? $2,400, extra $200 a month for Social Security beneficiaries, SSI, SSDI. It's like this conversation has nearly entirely been buried in the news. Nobody even wants to talk about it now. Oh, wait, did y'all say Social Security? $2,400 for Social Security? I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah. So anyway, but the performance was so bad that even the supporters of Biden supporters were like, I don't know if that's my guy anymore. But it was so bad that even the supporters are backing off. They're laying down the foundation for essentially for someone else to take the place of Biden and ultimately face off against Trump in November. But don't take my word for it. Have a listen.
Debate, one of the things was, would either candidate look like the caricature that the other campaign has been trying to paint of him? And at the end of the day, Joe Biden looks like the caricature that conservative media has been painting. And there were no clips tonight, right? You saw it before your eyes. Look, I don't want to just tell you what I think here, Tom. I've been talking to a lot of leaders in the Democratic Party, electeds, coalition leaders. There's a full-on panic about this performance. Not like, oh, this is recoverable. It is more of he's got to step aside. There's a lot of that chatter.
Damage control.
This is about as bad of a performance in order to that Biden could have delivered if his goal was to try to sort of calm the waters among Democrats. I mean, look, there was a poll just out earlier this week that showed, a lot of Democrats, it's not just elected Democrats, rank and file Democrats are both supportive of Biden, but think he should not be seeking a second term. I have a feeling we're going to see more polling on this, and we're going to see that number even higher. But the panic level, particularly among elected Democrats who have to share the ballot with him, there's a full-on panic tonight. Maybe they'll get calmed down in the morning. But there's going to be there's a lot of chatter among donors tonight, a lot of chatter among major elected leaders tonight. Again, if the Biden campaign they have a lot of calming calls that they're going to have to start making, or they may see this get momentum publicly, and I don't know if they can stop that.
Well, Chuck, and I want to ask you about that, because if you open up any news website right now and you see the headlines are exactly what you're talking about tonight. Yep. So if you're a Democratic voter, if you're somebody who's going to vote for this party, and now you're confused because you hear your party leaders are concerned as well, walk our viewers through what potentially could or could not happen. I mean, is he going to run no matter what? Is this conversation too early to have? And is there a process in place where Democrats can get together? And if he's not their guy, is there enough time to find somebody else?
Well, look, I mean, this was always one of the interesting timing of this debate was always that, this is intriguing. The Biden campaign wants a debate before you pass the last exit for gas, meaning before the Democratic convention. If Joe Biden decides he does not want to seek this nomination, he can release all his delegates. And then it basically becomes an open convention. And we haven't had a real open convention really since 1952. So, and that becomes a whole, you probably have the vice president, you might have a couple of governors, you might have the home state governor in Illinois, who's the host of the convention, wanting to follow in the footsteps of an Illinois governor in 1952, who was able to gather that nomination in Adlai Stevenson when the convention decided to hand it to him. But it all begins with Joe Biden would have to agree to do this.
Well, guys, I don't know. As you might remember, the White House, through Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre, she pushed back on viral videos that the president was struggling to walk on, or basically just kind of kept freezing mid-sentence. She denied all this, but I think at this point, a lot of people don't really believe what Corinne Jean-Pierre says. So I think her credibility is pretty much shot at this point anyway. But she's still doing her job. She has to come out and try to save face for the president. She got to keep collecting those checks. So, she, regardless of what her personal opinion is for Joe Biden, she's got to get out there and try to save face. The president, he did a good job. The president, he didn't freeze. I don't know what you guys were saying. I think there was some editing done. None of this really happened. The economy is stronger than what you think it is. I know you see inflation at like 8-9%. That's not really what it is. I know you go to Walmart and you see grocery prices through the roof and gas prices are higher than it was under Trump. I know that's what you're seeing, but that's not what really is happening. And I feel like this is what Corinne Jean-Pierre's job is to do, is to take what you see, gaslight you, and make you think that what you're seeing is not really happening. Anyway, she denied all the footage, said that these were edited by Republicans, those evil Republicans, editing that footage, making Biden trip up and down the stairs and space off. All that's editing. Sure, Bob. Wasn't this recorded on CNN? It's like, yo, come on. Like, just take the L. Take the L. Anyway, there's no editing with this debate. What's going on, Miss Mom? Appreciate the big two. Hillary's warming up for the bullpen. How many of y'all think, matter of fact, just type in who you think is going to replace Biden. Is it going to be Hillary? Is it going to be Hillary Clinton? Is it going to be Michelle Obama? Is it going to be Gavin Newsom? Let me know who y'all think it might be. It could be somebody who I didn't even mention, who I may have overlooked. Might be some governor from some state that I'm not thinking about. Anyway, but she denied all this footage, said that, these were well edited videos by Republicans. But yeah, there was no editing in this debate. And the entire country saw President Joe Biden as an old man who had trouble completing sentences. And this is not good for the Democratic Party. In fact, they seem to have an ace up their sleeve, though, because it's impossible that they didn't know that this was the mental state of President Biden. We all knew. But I will say this. I will say this. Some of you guys are going to be mad at me, but I actually think that Joe Biden did better than expected. Now, I'm probably the only person who's going to say this, but I honestly thought, like, this was a train wreck. Don't get me wrong. But I really thought that this was going to be so much worse. I thought Biden's performance was going to be so much worse than even what we saw. So I got to at least put that out there. How many of you guys actually thought that Biden was going to actually do worse than he did? Because I feel like I'm the minority with this opinion that Biden actually did better than expected. Now, he goofed. He forgot a lot of stuff. He was spacing off. Dude probably forgot, that he was still on stage, that he was still in the middle of a debate. They had to maybe send him a little vibration in his beeper or something like that. Hey, man, you still on stage. But I honestly felt like it was going to be so many times worse than what it was. But again, is this the guy you want leading your country? Now, here's the other thing. This is an embarrassment for America, but you got to remember, we're told that Russia doesn't like America. We're told that China doesn't like America. We're told that, all these different things. If you're China, if you're Russia, and you see this presidential debate, who do you want to face off against? Do you want to face off against Donald Trump? Or do you want to face off against a weak, mentally, compromised Joe Biden? If you're a country that wants to take over America, if you're a country that wants to take the place of America, do you really want to compete against a Donald Trump, or would you rather compete against Joe Biden? And so this is the kind of question Americans have to ask themselves. Like, when you go to the voting polls, even if you don't like Trump, right? You got to go to the voting polls and you got to say to yourself, hey, for the sake of America, right? Do you want a Joe Biden with his current mental state defending America, making critical choices, or would you rather have Donald Trump in his mental state, clearly way sharper than Joe Biden, making calls, decision making, representing the country, there you got to ask that. You have to ask yourself that question when you go into the voting booth. And I'm not saying who to vote for, but I'm saying based on what we've seen, I think the answer is clear. And then you got Barack Obama and Bill Clinton guiding Biden through this whole process. Two of the top Democrats within their party who for sure knew that this was going to happen. So this has led to a peculiar situation for Democrats, actually. This has led many analysts basically looking at this whole situation as like, was this a setup? Like Barack Obama, Bill Clinton, they knew that Joe Biden's mental state was going to be the way we saw. And so the question is, was this an intentional setup? You know, that they're all supposed to act surprised that President Joe Biden is no longer fit for office. And it's kind of humorous. It's kind of humorous how Joe Biden's campaign is trying to spin this still. They're saying that the president had a cold. Word? A cold? Now, I mean, it's summertime. I think it's very unlikely. I mean, most people don't get sick in the summertime. I think most people get sick in like the fall and the winter and whatnot. But they didn't tell us about Biden having a cold before the debate started. They told us midway through the debate, as he's getting creamed and forgetting where he's at, that Biden's got a cold. He was sick. And that's the story that his campaign is sticking to. So this poor performance was all because he had some cold medication given to him before the debate. Yeah. I mean, I can't make this up, guys. Now, although this might not cut it anymore, as even supporters are now questioning the possibility of just outright removing Biden before the 2024 presidential election. And this is where things get very, very interesting. Not in a good way, though. So rumors are now spreading that about the possibility of replacing President Joe Biden even before the elections come. I know it sounds far-fetched, but, you know, that was the point of this debate, to show us the reality that many of us already knew to begin with. But now the entire country is aware that this guy can't lead a nation. Countries like Russia, China, Iran, they're laughing at us right now. They're laughing at us. They're poking fun. They're poking fun of this whole situation here. And this is where we hear this is where we now hear different names. Now, one of the biggest ones being thrown out is California Governor Gavin Newsom. And, you know, they've tied his name to this election for years, guys. Y'all remember that, you know? And, you know, it makes sense as to why we saw all these write-ups and California Governor Gavin Newsom running against Biden in the primary. And so now, man, I got to charge my laptop battery. And so now Newsom has become much more vocal about Donald Trump. He warned, man, I'm plugging into the wrong hole. Where have I said that before? Anyway, and so Governor Gavin Newsom has become much more vocal about Donald Trump. Now, he warned about Trump's economic plans and warned us that, you know, this could cost working families up to $8,300 in higher taxes. I don't know, guys. I don't know. I don't think I'm buying that. Because I mean, he also said that Donald Trump made America much more expensive, and getting Trump back in office would create this result again. I don't know. Hey, Dot said that's what she said. But out of curiosity, guys, I got to ask you, what do you guys remember about your financial state back during Donald Trump's term? I mean, seriously, was it better than today, or are you happy with Bidenomics? Now, Newsom, he got a lot of catching up to do if he's ever planted as the next president. Although polls are already kind of showing that, you know, Donald Trump would straight up mop the floor with him if they ended up facing off with, you know, one-on-one in November. But a series of polls are now showing that the former president could very well beat the likes of every one of these potential replacements such as Newsom, Kamala Harris, Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg, Governor J.B. Pritzker, and a whole slew of other popular Democratic officials. But what do y'all think about this? I mean, this is a mess. This is a mess. Here's a real question. Did they set up President Joe Biden to humiliate him and to prove to him that he's not their guy for November? Now, speaking of which, Donald Trump he's nearing the announcement of his running mate for November. Oh, that's right. The highly anticipated Donald Trump VP announcement. And there's more and more talks happening within the Trump campaign with a lot of strong contenders coming out as Donald Trump's possible VP. We're hearing rumors about Byron Donalds. We're hearing rumors of Mark Robinson and just a whole host of many other possible contenders. Now, let me know who you think would be the best VP for Donald Trump. But I did a previous video where I talk about the shocking revelation that's been reported regarding this very, very huge monumental announcement. Make sure you guys check that video out. I'll leave a link for you guys here, maybe here, something like that. Anyway, appreciate y'all rocking with me. What's going on, Fed Up Patriot? Appreciate all the support from you guys. Happy Sunday, and I'll see you on the next one.